You don't need to go to Niagara Falls when you can eat some fried balls.
What's going on, NASCAR diecast collectors and diecast reviewers on YouTube? This is Original Big Bright here, and I am happy to announce that the NASCAR diecast news has finally returned. I know it has been quite a while since I've uploaded a video on YouTube, and originally this episode was supposed to be released around early June, about like a week or two after my Indianapolis 500 trip, but while it was a magical time at the Indianapolis 500, I did expect some computer problems during my trip, and it took me quite a while to find out that my computer finally gave out and it was time to get a new one. So that is why it really took me a lot of time and a lot of effort and money to get back into the situation I was in. So I really appreciate you guys for waiting patiently for that. I deeply apologize. I think that is going to be the only time I'm going to have a break like that. So yeah, glad to be back here for the NASCAR diecast news. But yep, guys, we got some lots of news to talk about, and we're going to try to wrap this up in a very time efficient episode. So yeah, lots of content to talk about. We got, of course, your newly released diecast from our good friends at Plan B Sales, K-State Diecast, and Lester's Diecast. A good amount of 2015 and 2016 diecast have been released for 124s and 164s. The newest and latest pre-orders as well from our good friends at Lionel Racing. So a good amount of race wins I've got to talk about, including the most recent one that was just released. And, of course, we got to do the cancellations, and we're going to mostly just talk about the 164s just to save some time. I'm going to try to make this as a very time-efficient episode as possible. That way, we could just catch up on what you guys missed in the last almost 2 months. So I'm going to try to cover at least 2 months worth of content on this one episode, so this should be entertaining. And of course, we also got NASCAR Authentics Wave 6 to talk about. A couple weeks ago, they did release pictures and enclosed details of Wave 6, and we are going to get all into this latest information and more as the NASCAR Diecast news starts right now. But before we do that, guys, we're going to take a look back at the best-selling diecast from the last episode of the NASCAR Diecast news. Alrighty folks, so to kick off this newest episode of the NASCAR Diecast News, we are of course going to start with your favorite, and it is going to be your newly released diecast from our good friends, as I said, Plant B Sales, KC Diecast, and our good friends from LARSON'S Diecast. Awesome dealer. Check them out, as they are my local dealer, as I've always said. Yes, so we are, like I said, I'm only going to be, usually on the NASCAR Diecast News, I usually review every single car, 164 wise, but like I said, we're going to be saving some time here, so I'm only going to be going over some cars that I think that really stood out, and I think that do need to be talked about. So we do got some 2015 championship winning diecasts that have just came in stocked a couple weeks ago, and might as well start off with your reigning 2015 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, Kyle Busch. This is his 2015 championship race win diecast. So this is, I think, actually the championship diecast that many people have always wanted, besides having that dumb and very idiotic championship logo. This car is actually a race win car because Kyle Busch did win in this car at the final race of the 2015 NASCAR season, thereby reigning him his championship for last year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So this car has a lot of detail to it for the 164s, and the 124 was also released as well. So all I can say is it is a really nice race win, and if you're a big Kyle Busch fan, of course you're going to have to get this car because he's a champion now, so why not? And speaking of champion diecast, his 2015 championship commemorative diecast have also been released, both in the M&M's car and the Interstate Batteries car. Not really a big fan of the Interstate Batteries car so much because not too many people like the stripes on that car, so I think that's going to be a pretty underrated car. But like I said, if you're a Kyle Busch fan, then you should probably get it. But his M&M's Crispy car, I'd say it's going to be kind of pointless and useless, because if you guys do remember from the last wave of NASCAR Authentics, they did release the championship diecast for Kyle Busch. So if you already got that car, then this car is kind of pointless. However, though, there are commemorative boxes now, which I think is probably the only reason people will be buying this, especially if you're a Kyle Busch fan, like I've said. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, I kind of like the variety of the boxes that they have, but still, that championship logo, God, it's awful. Man, I don't know. I think I should just stop complaining about the championship logo because they are never going to fix what they broke. So, yeah. And speaking of that, we also got the Chris Buescher 2015 Fastenal Championship winning car. And yes, guys, this is a 164. We finally got a Chris Buescher 164. Finally! However, though, this has the championship logo on it. I don't know who was the dingbat that decided to come with that idea. Oh yeah, Roush Fenway Racing. God dang it. Well, good news is you could probably make a custom out of it because it's the only Chris Buescher XFINITY card that we will ever get, because if you guys do know all the past history that we've had with Chris Buescher, all of his 164 diecasts have been canceled, and I was kind of nervous that this car was going to get to the borderline cancel. I mean, could you imagine that? A championship winning diecast getting canceled? Yikes, that would be bad for NASCAR, I tell you that. But I probably still would recommend getting this car because it is a Chris Buescher car, and it's also a race to win car. So he didn't won this race. Kyle Larson's the one who won this race, but for them to actually make a race to win diecast to go up with the Kyle Busch race to win championship car, that is pretty cool. But however, that championship logo looks god awful. Like I said, I really wish they would have put that on the decklet, but due to sponsors and all that, I guess that's why. Heck, put the championship logo on the box already, and then just leave the roof alone. I don't know why the guys at Roush Fenway Racing thought that was a good idea to do that, but good thing it's going to save me some money, so I don't have to pay for that. God, I'm a cheapskate. And the final car we're going to be talking about for the diecast releases is the Chase Elliott. Yep, guys, we got a lot of Chase Elliott diecast. If you guys saw, his 3M and KBB car is now finally out. But we are going to be mostly talking about his Daytona 500 pole winning car. And ironically to say, this car, first of all, this is a Daytona 500 pole win car. And from all the Daytona 500 pole win cars that we've had, they've been on a base. Well, this year, Lionel finally went out of its way, and they decided not to put a base on this car. So I think it only says pole on the car because they can't put a beer sponsor on the car. So I guess that's kind of cool. And plus, this is a more of an updated look for the 2016 Napa car. As you guys know, he's got a lot more sponsors now, so they got the Sun Energy logo and some other contingencies that filled up on the rear corner panel. So if you're looking for an updated Chase Elliott car for the year, then this is probably the car to get right here. Plus, it's not also on the base, so I can't believe I'm saying this, but this car might actually be pretty cool to get, especially if you're a big Chase Elliott fan. Shout out to Matt Faust and Matt Dierkel, the biggest Chase Elliott fans that I know. So shout out to those guys. Check them out. Subscribe to them. Yeah. But that's going to mostly do it for the NASCAR diecast releases. Tell me in the comments what was your favorite diecast released, and for 164 or 124. So, and we'll see how that goes. But now we're going to go on to the pre-orders. You know, we got to do the pre-orders like Steve Post likes to do, you know, because he loves talking about them pre-orders. Got to get them in the color chrome, standard finish, all that wonderful stuff. Okay, well, this ain't the diecast review show. This is the diecast news show. Oh, man. But, yep, guys, we are mostly going to be talking about race to win diecast, and none other to start it off with the man himself, Tony Stewart, finally back into victory lane. As you guys know, he did recently walk Sonoma in a very dramatic finish and a very emotional win. I have to say, between this win or Jeff Gordon's Martinsville win, definitely both of them were really neck and neck. I mean, I would have never thought in the 3 years I've seen Tony Stewart's driving, he would never go back into victory lane, especially with all the stuff that has happened to him recently in the news with the Kevin Ward Jr. situation, then his 2 injuries, and now here he is with the win, and he's so close to get to the top 30, which means he'll be in the chase. So, and he kind of has the same stats as 2011. I mean, he's got an average finish as he did right now in 2011. So who knows, guys? Could we see Tony Stewart coming back for that championship? I know people are going to say rigged, but who knows, guys? That would be pretty cool to see if Tony Stewart could have a shot to winning this championship. A little early to say that, but congrats to Tony Stewart and his win at Sonoma. Big congrats to Mr. Stewart. You know, he is a legendary driver, and great to see him back in victory lane once more. Plus, also, Lionel did put an update on this car, and they said that they are going to not have damage on the mold, and it's going to be a sticker decal. So that's a little disappointing. A lot of people are not too happy about that. But we'll see how that goes for the decals. Next up is Daniel SUAREZ'S Michigan win. So this is his first win that he gets in the XFINITY series. So this was another very big hyped win for this young Mexican driver. Daniel SUAREZ has always been a big favorite in the NASCAR XFINITY series. Of course, I guess I can like him because he drives the same number and sponsor as my favorite sprint car driver, number 19 Harris. But yeah, that was a really cool race as well, and this car is I think it has been MOQ, so this car might get made, but who knows, guys. And this is going to be a gold car, I believe, because that's also the mold that they have for this car. So similar to a standard car, this car will be made in the gold series, and the gold series is basically hood open cars, so hood open, so you know, no roof flaps are going to open, and the deck lid opens, which is disappointing, but you know, pretty cool that, you know, Lionel's actually going to try to make a SUAREZ'S Michigan win, because that was a really cool race, and seeing him passing Kyle Busch on the last lap was very entertaining, especially for people who have kind of been sick of all those Cup drivers winning in the Xfinity series. And speaking of that, we also got the man himself, Race Day 2011's favorite, Kyle Larson. Yep, guys, they are, Lionel has his car on pre-order, his Sprint Showdown win, and what can I say, that was yet another great race. It was a non-points race, and it was a race to get in for the NASCAR All-Star Challenge, and let's just say Kyle Larson is a guy to watch out for. Between him and Chase Elliott, those two guys are going to be some favorites coming in these next few races leading up to the chase for the Sprint Cup Series. These two guys are hungry for a win, and by how Larson was driving in the All-Star Challenge and how he drove at Dover, I think this guy is going to get a win eventually. He is hungry, man, and I'm guessing that this car looks really nice. I mean, lots of race marks and lots of nice stuff on this car. Very, very cool. And hopefully this car is going to make MOQ, and many Larson fans will be pretty happy that happens, because lots of Larson stuff has been canceled throughout the past years. But who knows? We definitely got to watch out for this kid right here. Same with Chase Elliott. But that's going to wrap it up for the pre-orders guide. And now we're going to go on to the cancellation, folks. I know this is the turning point of the episode where you guys are going to be holding on to your seats, so hold your breath, guys. We do get a lot of diecasts that were recently and have also been canceled. And like I said, guys, mostly going to cover on the 164s just to save some time, because I know you guys do want to know all about all this stuff in a good, timely fashion. So we're going to start off with, let's see here, Casey Kane's 2016 Drive Tag Unger car, canceled in both scales, the 124 ARC and the 164 as well. So both scales were canceled, and not too much to say about this car. I mean, when Drive Tag Unger announced their new sponsorship with Casey Kane, you know, even with the paint scheme that they offered this year, kind of bland, to be honest. So I can kind of see why this car got canceled, and plus Casey Kane's an underrated driver on Hendrick Motorsports. I know he hasn't really showed that much speed throughout the past years, and I can see why this car just really didn't have that much support, especially with the long-time sponsor for Jeff Gordon, and now automatically going to Casey Kane. Could have picked better. Probably Dale Jr. or Jimmy Johnson could have took that sponsor, but not Casey Kane since he's a little too young, but who knows. Next up is Justin Allgaier's 2016 Myrtle Beach XFINITY Chevrolet Camaro. Canceled in both scales. This was yet another Justin Allgaier car that was canceled. As you guys know, so far only his brand car has made MOQ, and then he's got another new car that just came out. His Salutes car that is going to be running at the Daytona race later this week. So not been a good year for Justin Allgaier diecast, and this was, I guess, another underrated car. But there was a lot of people that really liked this car, and I did too. You know, it's summertime, and it's about Myrtle Beach, so I thought that this car was gonna get you know, some good pre-orders, but not enough recognition for Justin Allgaier, ironically, even with Junior Motorsports. So very unfortunate right there. I know there's a lot of people disappointed about that car. This one's kind of a big shocker, but then again, kind of not surprised. Danica Patrick's 2016 Nature's Bakery Salutes car, canceled in both scales. And call me crazy, guys, I kind of like this car because it's kind of representing the old the camouflage that, you know, the soldiers used to have back then before they went to the digital camo. And I've always been a big fan of that. You know, I do like army-based schemes. But I guess since it was probably for Danica Patrick, not too many people really gave two craps about it, which is unfortunate. You know, I think this would have been the car I would have loved to get right here. I mean, I think it would have looked better if it had a matte finish on it. I mean, I think that looked pretty nice instead of a glossy finish, but we'll never know because this car got canceled in both scales. And speaking of Danica, we got her boyfriend Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s 2016 Zest Fully Clean. Yes, guys, and I'm not really liking the new Zest car for this year. There's a lot more white on this car. I guess that they're trying to really show off the residue that Zest likes to make. Well, I don't know. I haven't really used Zest, but I'm sure it's a pretty good soap. Just ask Race Day 2011. But I'm not really sure what they were trying to do with all those white streaks on this car. So kind of ruined the paint scheme for me, and I kind of see why this car got canceled. Last year's car did get canceled as well, so it looks like the Zest cars are not so popular as they were back then, around the times where me Race Day 2011, you know, did skits for the Zest Fully Clean car. If you guys remember that, that was pretty cool. But little do we know that we're not going to see Rob in the shower again with that car. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty disappointing right there for a legendary diecast here for the diecast community. And we got a Jeffrey Earnhardt car canceled in both scales as well. Goodness gracious. 4 times in a row we got a car that is canceled in both scales. And this one right here is his Keen Parts car. So his Can-Am car did made MOQ, and then we got his Wrangler car coming up for the Darlington race. That's on pre-order as well. Hopefully that makes MOQ. So a lot of good diecasts coming out for this year for Jeffrey Earnhardt for this rookie driver. Of course, with a famous name like Earnhardt. So kind of ironic to see this car getting canceled because it is an Earnhardt car, but still though, this car has the same paint scheme layout as his Can-Am car, so I kind of see why this car got canceled. But still, I mean, it's a pretty nice, recognizable, and very bright car, but not too really worried about this car since we got his Can-Am car, which is going to look very nice. I can't wait for that car to come out. This one, Coming up next is a very big shocker right here, and it's AJ Allmendinger's 2016 Kingsford and Scott's car. I don't have a picture of the Scott's car, but I am going to include this in with this because they did not came up with a render for this car, like a 3D or a 2D model render. But yeah, it got canceled on both scales, and I'm not quite sure why this car got canceled. I'm guessing they did not put the render up in time, and maybe people just didn't know. We didn't know what the car looked like. I'm assuming this is what the car looks like, but it could be entirely wrong. But yeah, very odd because Kingsford and Scott's are two main sponsors for AJ Allmendinger. I mean, his Kroger car is still available for pre-order, which I think that will make MOQ, but just very ironic to see this guy getting canceled because Allmendinger is usually a big favorite, but then again, he is in those underfunded teams, JTG Daughtry Racing, so I kind of see that, but still kind of disappointing to see that both of his cars got canceled. So that's not looking good for any Allmendinger fans out there. The next one is another Darlington throwback car, and it is Brendan Gaughan's 2016 South Point Casinos Darlington throwback car. This car looked alright, but I can see why this car got canceled only in the 164 scale. So the 124 scale will be made, but the 164 got canceled. And you know, I don't mind throwbacks in the Xfinity series, but I'd rather like to see them in the NASCAR Sprint Cup series. I mean, it kind of feels like the Xfinity series is kind of trying to replicate what the Southern 500 does, and not really doing a good job at it. But who knows? I've not really been the biggest Xfinity fan since their new sponsor of last year, and haven't really watched the race forever in the Xfinity series. So But then again, I mean, back on topic, I'm not really quite sure why this car got canceled. Probably just it's an okay car, but it's not very, appealing, I guess. But maybe it just was underrated and got not enough pre-orders. And speaking of underrated, we got the last car to talk about for the cancellations, and it's Clint Bowyer's 2016 Morton Buildings car. Now, this was a very random diecast because, first of all, I had no idea Clint Bowyer was associated with JR Motorsport, so that was pretty random. I could have swore Kevin Harvick was going to drive this car because, he's been a big sponsor with Morton Buildings, but I can see why this car got canceled because we had a driver like Clint Bowyer, which is a Cup driver, by the way, being placed in the 88 car in the Xfinity series. So yeah, that's all I got to say right there. It's a Cup driver in the Xfinity series, but he's kind of underrated now, Clint Bowyer, and I kind of feel bad for him because all of his diecasts this year have been canceled, which is just, God bless him. I mean, hopefully we're going to see some improvement for him next year as he's going to be taking over Tony Stewart's ride next year, which I'm really excited about, and hope the best of luck for Clint Bowyer, and hopefully he just keep he could really just keep his attitude going on throughout the rest of the season, despite being a very underfunded car. But we'll see what Bowyer does in these next few months in the HCOP Motorsports Chevrolet. Now we're going to get on to the last topic of the day, and it is the final topic, which is NASCAR Authentics Wave 6. Yep, guys, I'm sure David Land is going to really enjoy this section right here, and many other of you guys as well who are big NASCAR Authentics fans. So with the reputation that NASCAR Authentics had, especially with last wave, they really set off a bad start for the next wave. Wave 5 was definitely very disappointing, and not too many people were really happy about this. However, though, Wave 6, they really stepped their game up for this wave, and there's still a good amount of diecasts that maybe two people are kind of about, but there are a good amount of diecasts that I would rather prefer, unlike last wave. And we just sadly don't have any Fords to show you guys. That's another thing I forgot to talk about, the Ford diecast. I'll probably talk about that in the next episode, on the 150th episode, so I do apologize that I did not talk about the Ford diecast. I am very aware that they are out, but I'll talk about that in the next special episode, and plus I'll also talk about that very shortly after this final topic. But anyways, guys, NASCAR Authentics Wave 6, let's kick off this review, guys. So we're going to start off with the Toyota diecast, and we got Kyle Busch's 2016 M&M's Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. So Once again, guys, we have yet another Kyle Busch car, so this is the third time that we are seeing a Kyle Busch car. The first 2016 diecast we had for this year, and this may be the Kyle Busch car that I would highly recommend getting, even though this car has not ran at the track this year. If you guys are very aware that Kyle Busch has driven a different paint scheme for his M&M's cars, and he has been driving that throughout most of the season now, which I kind of don't mind, but I kind of wish that they went back to this car, because this was a very nice looking car. I can't blame NASCAR Authentics, for this, but you got to blame JGR for changing the paint scheme at the last minute. Around Daytona, they actually decided to change the scheme, which is very unfortunate, especially for any Kyle fans, because I'm sure they would love to see this car on the track. But regardless, so this is a very nice looking diecast, and I would probably recommend getting it over, the last couple of Kyle Busch diecasts that we've had for NASCAR Authentics. Similar for that, we got another Toyota Camry, which is Denny Hamlin's FedEx car, and this may be a car I would recommend getting, especially if you guys need a Denny Hamlin car in your collection, especially an updated one, because the last Denny Hamlin car we've had for NASCAR Authentics was probably when Spin Master was around, when they made his Talladega win, which was in 2014, so that was a very long time ago. So glad we're getting an updated Denny Hamlin car. I do like his FedEx car. It's since they changed it from last year and then kept it on for this year. So yeah, I would recommend getting this car as well, especially, like I said, if you are missing that Denny Hamlin car in your NASCAR Authentics collection. So really fills up the collection right there when you got that car, especially for your 2016 collection. And let's see right here, we got another Austin Dillon Cheerios car. So yep, guys, not really too much about this car, but there is going to be some varieties in the paint. I mean, I'm currently looking at, if you guys remember the Austin Dillon car from 2014 that Spin Master made, that yellow was a little more brighter, but this one looks a little dimmer, so so that's going to be a nice comparison review right there if you guys want to do that. But still, this is kind of an updated car, so it's got some updated contingencies and all that for and plus, it's also another Austin Dillon car that you can add to your collection, so it could go well with that Darlington throwback car that he had in Wave 1. We got another Chase Elliott car, his Kelley Blue Book car, which was, I kind of would have thought his 3M car was going to be released next, and then KBB, but I do like this car. We got this is, I believe, the third Kelley Blue Book car that is now made for NASCAR Authentics. Of course, first time for Lionel to make this car, as the other two were made from Spin Master for Dale Jr. In 2015 and 2014. Kelley Blue Book cars, but this car looks pretty nice, and like I said, it's going to go well with that Napa car, and it's going to look really nice. So a lot of these cars are going to look really nice, for displaying and also for your stop motions as well. So you want some variety in Chase Elliott, then you got the Kelley Blue Book car. And we also got a Kurt Busch car, his 2016 Haas Chevrolet car. By the way, all these cars are 2016, so that is awesome right there. So we have no random 2015 cars. So yeah, the Kurt Busch Haas cars, yes, there's no monster logos on this, because if you guys are still not aware of that, for any new subscribers, it's basically they can't have there's like some new regulations and laws requiring to not have not only alcohol / beer sponsors, but also energy drink sponsors on kids diecasts, because after all, these diecasts are marketed for kids after all, so gotta really think that. But still, a really nice car. I mean, you can always make it custom if you want to, but this Kurt Busch Haas car is pretty nice, especially since he just recently won in this car at Pocono, so maybe you can make a Pocono race swing diecast if you want to. But cool, we're going to get that in there. The Jimmy Johnson Cobalt Tools car, I think this might be the underrated, this might be the one that many people are kind of avoid, because the Cobalt scheme has been pretty similar throughout the past few years now, for the past 2 years now actually, unless you want to update the 48 and update it with yellow numbers, since it's running yellow numbers now. I think that would have been a better move, get a Lowe's car with yellow numbers on it. I think that would have sold more. The Cobalt scheme, though, it's another variation for Jimmy Johnson lovers, and yeah, not really much to say about that. But yeah, Jimmy Johnson. And the last one is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Tax Slayer Chevrolet. So, yep, this is a first for actually this is the second time we're getting Dale Jr.'s Hex Slayer car. They made it, NASCAR Authentics made his XFINITY diecast from last year, which was pretty cool. That was a nice variation we got right there. But now Hex Slayer has jumped on board this year in the Sprint Cup Series, and of course they got to tag along with the man himself, Dale Jr. I do like this Hex Slayer car, and if you're having trouble trying to get this car online, then this is your time to get it right here. And also, guys, if you also have noticed from all these cars I've showed you, we got another different type of a magnet now. So it seems like every wave that Lionel is kind of experimenting with different kinds of magnets. If you guys remember, I mean, from the previous wave, they did hoods, which I kind of liked. And then wave 4, they did those little pit magnet, those little pit road magnet, magnets, magnet. And that was kind of interesting, I guess. And now we're going on to a diecast cut magnet, which, I mean, it looks okay, but if you think about it, we already have a diecast, and having a diecast magnet, that's cool, I guess, but I still prefer the hoods. I mean, that's just the nostalgia I get. Every time I see the hoods, I just think of, oh my god, these cars look like Winter Circle's cars. I gotta get that. But I'm kind of impressed with Lionel that they're giving us some variation in the magnets, so it kind of really gives us, you know, some variety in what we're getting for diecast, so can't really argue with that. But overall, guys, wave 6 looks pretty promising. I can't believe we're already down to wave 6 and it's already like the mid of this year, so I don't know, guys. I mean, usually wave 6 is usually the cutoff point for NASCAR Authentics, but I think we still got a lot more waves to show you guys. But yep, guys, I would probably highly recommend most of these diecasts, including the 2 Toyota diecasts, and maybe probably the Kelly Blue Book and the Hex Slayer car. But feel free to choose what you guys like, and tell me in the comments which ones are you really excited for, and what diecast do you think will show up in the next wave as well. But for the NASCAR diecast news, that's mostly it, guys. However, though, I got a special treat for you guys. This is kind of thank you for once again, guys. Thank you guys so much for waiting, all the time and effort that I put into this video. I know it's been a long wait, but I'm sure you guys are really going to enjoy this, as I am going to be mostly going to be very busy with this series for quite a while now, so I'm not going away. But for your treat, guys, we got the 150th episode coming up next, guys. And let's just say I've got a big treat for you guys. Let's just say, if you guys have looked through my channel a couple times, I've been doing some live stream tests. So what I'm planning to do for the 150th episode of the NASCAR Diecast News, I plan on doing not only a live episode, a live stream of a live episode of the NASCAR Diecast News, because most of these episodes I do are pre-recorded, so this is going to be, the 150th episode is going to be a live episode, like I said, with a live stream and then a live Q&A afterwards. So I'm going to tell you guys all that information and more. I'm going to run more tests and just make sure that this goes smooth. But for now, guys, that is all the time we have for it. Thank you guys so much for watching NASCAR Diecast News. It is good to be back, and glad to be back here on YouTube, and we're going to be excited for this episode and then the next episode as well. So we'll see you guys on the next episode of the NASCAR Diecast News, 150th episode. Can't wait for that, guys. I am looking forward to that. But until then, this is Original Big Bry signing off, and so long for now, everybody.